Was Giddy? And I'm back with my tea of the day. Welcome to episode 59. I got a special guest for y'all. It's one of my good Judies. And it's time for us to have a little conversation. What's good, boo?
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. So we're here today because we have some things to discuss, to debrief, and to get some opinions and some clarity on. So I know you heard my last podcast about domestic violence and transphobia. What was your thoughts on that and this whole Megan Thee Stallion aspect and the trans woman who was brutally abused?
It was, oh my gosh, it's horrible, but it sheds a light on like what's really going on. Stuff that like I feel like we kind of just push to the side, and we're just like, oh, that it does happen, but you know what? It is what it is. But you can't push it aside no more. Like I feel like, especially in the LGBT community, is not going to be pushed aside. Everyone has to be treated with respect, with love. With the Meg Thee Stallion situation, oh my God, the way that she was treated in the end, like I needed clarity on like why she was like shot in the first place. Who pulls a gun on someone and just shoots them? That's not even a thing that you should be doing. But then It's also just the fact that she wanted to save him from having to go through the whole process of dealing with the police, because already, in the Black community, well, Black and brown community, we're dealing with having to get pulled over and stopped by police and police brutality, and it's a lot. And I understand that, but when it's taken to the fact that you're protecting someone who could have killed you, that's something that I don't even know. I mean, I support her 100%. Like, she didn't even have to give me proof. I didn't need proof, and I felt like she shouldn't even have to have gone out of her way to give anyone proof. You don't have to justify being shot. You were shot. You don't have to justify that at all.
You shouldn't have to, but unfortunately, I guess in this day and age, this climate, people want proof, visual proof, because words clearly aren't enough anymore.
Yes, and domestic violence just in general is scary. And I can only speak on like what I hear, especially if like you're trans and dealing with domestic violence. The question is when you go to the hospital, if you get a chance to go to the hospital, will they take you seriously? Will they treat you as a person, regardless of who you were born as? This is how you feel. You are a woman. No one wakes up in the morning and they say, oh, I'm just going to be a woman. No, you go through the process that is physically and emotionally, it's draining. But you go through it because you know that this is the life that you want to live. And no one has the right to put their hands on you, to treat you any way. And everyone needs to be treated as an equal, no matter what.
That's very true. And unfortunately, I hope that people really understand that everyone is human. Everyone has a right to live their life and how they want to live it. If you don't agree with it, or you don't understand it, or you don't like it for whatever your reasons are, doesn't mean you get to now make a change in terms of putting your hands on someone because you don't understand.
Exactly.
Instead of just acting. So you was born a man, but then we always just, I feel like as people, we always look at, for a trans woman, what's between the leg instead of what they are, they feel. Like, yes, their body part might be different and may be the same, but that doesn't define a person.
Exactly. And people are just trying to live. Like, who gives you the right to sit there and put your hands on someone? Like, my advice to everyone: mind your business. Everyone's just trying to survive and trying to live. Mind your business. If you don't get it, you don't understand, you don't like it, keep it to yourself. Or do what most people do. Type it up online. But don't sit there and come out of your way. Physically put your hands on someone. Like, that's not cool. Like, we need to do better as a society. And it starts with just, sitting down, having a conversation, getting to know the person, not the exterior, but more so the interior, because that's really what matters the most.
Can you say that again? Because that hit home. That was something special and deep that people, I feel like, need to really hear.
Yeah, just focus on the interior, because the exterior, it doesn't matter at all. Nothing about what you look like on the outside matters. What matters is on the inside. That's, oh my God, to me, that's the most important thing about a person. That's beautiful to me.
What they represent, not what they look like. And that's a great admiration to be and want to look at. Because, like, yes, appearance is cute. We all do look for, I guess, people who look like something or something like that. But most of all, you want someone who's going to actually feature right, who has morals, who knows their self-worth, who, like, has things going. Not necessarily their looks. Like, their looks should just be an add-on. It shouldn't be the main deal breaker. So,
exactly.
I heard you got into something new. How was that? Something special?
Yeah, I got a new man.
Yeah.
Very happy. Yes, very happy through, like, kissing so many, like, frogs. I found my prince, and I'm very happy.
Congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So, what did you look for when finding him, if you were looking at all? Or did it just magically happen?
I'm gonna be honest. I really wasn't expecting anything. I've always told myself I wanted someone who treated me right. I have flaws, and I wanted someone to look at my flaws and just be like, flaws? What flaws? You're perfect. Even though there's no such thing as a perfect person, I want that one to look at me in the eyes and just be like, you're perfect, and treat me the way you would want someone to treat, like, your mother, your sister, your daughter. That's something that I really, really wanted. And I met him online, and I met him, like, last year, December. We started talking, and I was like, you know what? I really don't think we have much in common. This is probably not going to go anywhere, but you know what? I really just need a distraction. So we started talking, and then maybe like 2 months in, I was like, we've been talking online for like a while. I feel comfortable giving you my number, because no guy is going to wait 2 months to get your number from offline. Right. They're going to eventually move on. So we exchanged numbers, and we started talking. The first time we met, I think I was just really nervous. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's my vibe. Maybe the first time I see him, I'm thinking, like, I'm not going to like him at all. There's going to be something about him that maybe he's not going to look like his picture. Mm-hmm. So
there do be a lot of catfish out there.
Let me tell you. So we met up, and I first saw him, and I was like, wow, I don't think he's my type at all. And I always go for the same type of guy. Yeah.
What would your ideal type be? And do you believe in red flags? And if you do believe in red flags, how do you basically pick them out? What's your take and what you don't want to deal with, kind of thing? Because everyone has their thing that they'll be okay with or not fully okay with, but they'll kind of have to deal with, and something that's like a deal breaker kind of thing.
Exactly. I would have to say maybe a red flag for me. How do I spot the red flag? What was your first question?
Since you have a type, what exactly would that be?
My type. So for me, my type would be someone that I automatically have that firework, like something in me gets me going. I'm just like, ooh, I need that guy. And it could be, I love tall men. That's always been my thing. love tall men. I love brolic men. I love men with like that Rick Ross beard. I don't know why. I just do. And there's like, I love men who have like a swagger to their voice. I don't know what it is. I think because I have like a crush on Snoop Dogg, and I love the way he talks. And when I meet a guy who talks like that, I'm just like, wow, there's something about this guy. And that always attracted me. And I think some of the red flags came with experience, because I've dealt with a lot of guys, and I've gotten my heart broken quite a bit, because I was naive. I was young. I was naive. I didn't have experience. I would say red flags to watch out for is that gut feeling. And that gut feeling is, you just know that there's something about him. You don't even have to be near him. You can talk to him over the phone, and you can read what he writes, and just something just doesn't sound right. Or, or when you are near him, you get these weird feelings, and it's not butterflies. You can tell the difference. There's just feeling about him, like you can't quite put your finger on it, but you just know, like, there's something about him that just isn't right. Or you're sitting together, and to me, I'm all about, like, if we're going to be out, let's put our phones away. He has to look at his phone. Or when you guys are together and he's looking at his phone, you can't see the screen because it's facing the other way. That's an automatic red flag. You paying for the bill on your first date. I feel like that's a red flag, because at least try to take out your wallet. Like, for me, I never have a problem with paying, because I don't know why. I'm independent, and I was so used to always paying for my own food that it's just like paying for someone else's, shoot, that's a regular day.
Right.
But when it becomes all the time that you're constantly paying, or when you want to go out and his first thing that comes out of his mouth is, yo, so do you have money for that? Because where am I getting the money from? That's a red flag. That's an in-your-face red flag.
That's a hi, thank you, goodbye.
Exactly. Like, I've had so many red flags that over the years that I ignored, and I learned hard lessons, because the red flags, oh my gosh, you'll get your heart broken. Some of the guys, they didn't treat me right. And I can't fully blame them. I can only blame myself, because I ignored it. Because I was like, well, you know what? It's okay. Because, he likes me. So it's all right. And it's not okay. It's really not.
So, in this new relationship that you're so happily in, and I'm so happy that you're just happy. Like, yeah. You're just so happy, so angelic, just so, like, giddy, and it's so cute. So, were there any barriers that you felt like going into this relationship that it may not work, or was you just so head over heels, or just so this is gonna work regardlessly?
For me, there was a big barrier. My barrier was fear. And the fear came from the fact that, I have HPV. And for those who don't know, it's the human papillomavirus. It's a sexually transmitted disease. You get it basically from having sex. And I got it from a guy that I don't even remember what he looks like now. It was so long ago, which is bad. And when I came into this relationship, anytime I met a new guy, that would be like the number one thing that we would honestly talk about. I would tell them up front. But for him, I was scared, because the last guy I told, it didn't work out, and I understood, but it was still hurtful. So it was about, after we exchanged numbers, a month later, after we met up, I talked to him. And, I told him, I was like, listen, I want to be honest with you before we move forward. I have this, and, I truly understand if you don't want to be with me. When I was texting it, because I couldn't even talk to him on the phone. That's how, like, I don't know.
Nervous you was.
How nervous and scared, and I hate rejections. I'm like, ugh. So when I was texting it, I had that feeling in my stomach, and I was like, you know what, this probably be the last time we'll ever talk. So just do it, because you hold out, and it'll just make it worse. So I texted him a huge paragraph. I was like, you know, if you want, we can just be friends, if that's okay with you, you know. And then he texted me back, and he's just like, he was like, why would I not want to talk to you no more? He's like, you know, I love everything about you. He's like, and I want to know more about this. Like, let's talk about it, because, you know, I want to take care of you. And when he said that, I was like, I've never heard that before. And it gave me this type of feeling that I'm like, you know, this guy's going to stick around for the long haul, because usually when I would tell a guy, they didn't care, because they were going to get some, and that was it. There's nothing for the long haul. But this guy was here for the long haul. And like, when you have like HPV, you have to be careful. When me and him, we have sex, I'm extremely careful. Like, it's something that's in the back of my mind, but I will never sit there and just let it like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm always very careful. And we talked about it, and you know, it's just like, it's gonna be there for a very long time. And now that we've been together so far, it's been like, what, 8 months? I still think about it. And I still worry, because I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, God, what if I give it to him? He didn't ask for this. You know, what if we get married and he's like, you know, I want to have children. Can we do it the normal way? Is that a thing? You know, and I'm like, if he was to ever ask me to marry him, if we ever reach that point, we would have to literally have that talk, because that's something that's going to be, it's going to be around for until the day that I die. And people think, like, for me, when I first found out that I had it was quite a few years ago, you know, my first thought was like, oh, okay, a couple of shots to the butt and I'll be fine. No. I called the nurse when she told me. I went to the doctor, I got a pap smear, everything. He gave me the works. And then he went through the whole process of explaining what it is, and explaining that, you know, many people get that this isn't something that, you know, like, no one ever gets. People do get it. And when he was speaking to me, it felt like I was in a trance. Like, it's like I was there, but I wasn't there. And he looked at me, he was like, are you okay?
Like, you couldn't accept.
Yeah, I couldn't. And for the life of me, I cried, because I couldn't accept it. I was like, why? Why? And I knew that this was going to be a problem. I felt it. And after I got my pap smear, the nurse called me, and she was like, oh, everything's normal, you're fine. So I told her, when does it go away? She's like, sweetie, this doesn't just go away. It may become dormant, but it doesn't go away. And for me, I was one of those people that it did not go dormant. And I couldn't understand why until he showed me my results, and I was like, wow. It was like another strain, like a higher strain. And I was just like, those are one of the strains that it doesn't really go dormant, and you have to be very careful, constantly going to see the doctor so that they can monitor and make sure you don't have any like cancer cells or anything, because let me tell you, it's a lot. But to find someone that is willing to just learn about it and not pass judgment, or not just be like, oh, one time and she's gone, that's it, I don't need to deal with that. But I knew he was different because he wanted to learn about it, and we talked about it. And I don't know, I feel like that's something that I needed. And it's crazy because I told my friend, you know, I don't think this guy's really my type. And she's like, you need to stop looking at what is your type, because sometimes your type is no good for you.
Amen. Like,
and she was
like, I tell people that all the time. Like, for me, I don't have a type. And I don't have a type for a reason. I just know what I like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not necessarily a type. I don't look for a specific type of man, because every man I dated was completely different in every way possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Why do you think it's hard for people to commit or want to understand or deal with something that's maybe foreign to them that they might be scared of, but this could be the love of their life? Like, why would they let that one thing ruin everything?
It's the I feel like it's the stigma and the lack of education. When we hear any type of STD, the first thing we think of, like, yo, that dude or that female is straight up hoe. Like, only a hoe can get that. Like, they must be sleeping around with a whole bunch of people, and that's not true
at all. Because it's like, that could be some people's cases. Some people, it could have just been a bad experience. Some people could have been born with it. But if you don't understand how it happened, then we're doing each other a disservice.
Exactly. Like, you,
and
before
then
passing judgment.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying, before passing judgment, you got to educate yourself. Definitely speaking to a doctor, speaking to the person that you're with. There are a lot of people you can actually talk to, videos you can watch just to get better education of what something is.
Absolutely. Like, I feel like because society says something, everyone wants to follow that thing.
Of course.
Instead of, like, actually, like, if you like that person and you deal with that person and they're upfront with what you're dealing with in their life, it's not something that you have to deal with. It's something that if you decide to be a part of my life, that you're going to have to not necessarily be okay with, but you're going to have to make sure that I'm okay. Or you're going to have to understand what it is. And if you want to ask questions, by all means, ask as many questions as you want. Like, I'm pretty sure I told you this. Like, I dated someone who had HIV.
Oh, wow.
And although it was scary, I loved him. And I stayed, but I made sure that I was okay. I made sure that he was taking the proper meds and everything like that. And we had different doctor conversations just to make sure of the process.
Right. And, like, for you, when your partner first told you, like, what's the safety precautions that you guys took is extremely important. Just like the safety precautions that me and my boyfriend took. Like, it was important, because even though, like, you don't have it, he doesn't have it, they can, like, you guys can get it. And practicing that safety precaution is one of the things that matters also. And knowing the things that you can and cannot do is important as well.
Absolutely. This educate yourself.
Yes.
Ask questions. Don't ever be afraid to ask a question. Don't ever be afraid to make like feel like you're asking a dumb question, because the information's out there.
Yep.
And that's just for you, just so, like, everyone who feels like they can date someone who has a STD or some type of disease is like, I never understood that. Like, yeah, it might be difficult, it might be scary, but you have to think of the relationships that you've probably been in that you never knew because they never told you.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And that happens a lot.
Exactly.
But for me, I feel like safe sex is just always the best way to begin with. Because, in my opinion, you can never be too secure in your relationship. Well, you can be off of lust, but not necessarily off of love. Unless you know deep down that you're getting tested, that you're good, or whatever the stats is, kind of thing, before the condoms go off, I feel. But that was your barrier. And once you found a real man, because there aren't a lot of real men out there, there's a lot of pretend to be men, or men who think they're men until they get hit with some hard truth. and they have to decide, and they're not ready to make a decision. They're not ready to go out to the batting cage and actually swing and get a home run. They're just ready to go
Yep.
back to the parking lot and say, no, this is too much for me. I can't deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
once you found that real man, how was it afterwards? After unraveling your deepest secret and just laying it out on the table?
It felt like a breath of fresh air because it wasn't lingering. Like, in the past, I would wait before I sleep with the person, but we already would have been talking for like a couple of months, and it was still lingering, and it was always there with every conversation. With him, when I finally let it out, it was just like, I could breathe, and nothing changed. It was still the same old conversations we were having, laughing, joking around, getting to know each other. It felt great. It really did.
That's amazing.
Exactly. I did ask him though, like, I'm all about like privacy.
Absolutely.
So I did talk to him, and I was like, I know like when you get to know my family and I get to know yours, which is coming up soon. I already met like some of his family, but it's at that point where it's like, okay, I'm ready to meet yours. I did ask him to just not say anything to any of his family members, just out of privacy from me,
mm-hmm.
because then it'll be, I feel like that would be too much. I wouldn't know if I'll be able to take that. Like, I can't read other people's minds when I'm sitting across from them, and if he says something, I can't read it, and I don't know if it'd be good or be bad. That anxiety would definitely kick in.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it that you scared of the perception of you, or is it that you feel like the perception of you may alter his feelings for you?
I feel like his perception about me, I feel like it hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like his family's perception would. Because there's the follow-up questions. Like, me and him have talked about, we've all had partners in the past, but I've never told him like if I had like the amount of partners. I haven't had that many. I think five partners. But obviously I only got HPV from one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I was to have that discussion, in front of like other people outside of just me and him and the people that I told, I feel like the conversation would be completely different. It would be, are you sure? Like, I'm scared of like the stigma behind what people may think of me. Because if you already have your perception of someone who has like an STD, I don't feel like it'll change. You can look at one person who you don't know their sexual status and like, oh, that person's really cool. I like them. We can chill and everything. But then when you find out, would that change? Would you feel differently about that person that you're talking to? And it's just not something that I feel like I am comfortable or ready to deal with at the moment.
Okay. And I completely understand that. Let's change the narrative a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, we all know that Black women are very unappreciated. They're disrespected. They are, unfortunately, looked at as the bottom for whatever reason. What have been your experiences as a Black woman? And then what has been your experiences with interacting with other Black women?
I feel like right now, as an adult, I love my experiences with Black women. I love getting to know more about them. Because even though some of us may share the same skin tone, there's so many different shades of melanin. Mm-hmm. But, some of us may look the same. We all have a story. And I love hearing the stories from other Black women. And especially being natural, that wasn't a thing for me in the past. I would look at someone else, I'm like, wow, that's powerful to just be like, just be natural and just walk around with your regular hair. But I never had that in me to do it until, a freak accident at a hair salon. All of a sudden now I'm natural. And I get it. It's a different experience when you have natural hair. Like, you go through a battle with your hair, and an emotional battle. Listening to how Black women talk, and when they're in a grocery store and they have someone just staring at them, like, what are their reasons for being stared at so much? Like, for me, I remember one time I was on my way home and I was talking to my sister. I was upset, and there was these 4 white guys that was like sitting behind me on the boat, and one of the white guys, I guess he figured I didn't hear him, and he was just like, why do Black girls always sound like that? And I was just listening. I was just like,
sound like what?
Exactly. That's what I would love to know. Sound like what? I love the Black movement that's coming up now, because it's like, we're not taking this nonsense no more. Like, enough is enough. Like, my skin does not define who I am. My skin does not define how educated I am, how talented I am, how well I speak, because people automatically assume, because like the color of your skin, obviously you're not intelligent. You speak in like ghetto Ebonics. And I feel like now, like, we're coming out, we're like, whatever perception you've had of us in the past, that's gone. We're not putting up with that nonsense. We are entrepreneurs. We're not just, someone's nanny. We are providers. We are people who already just take over the world, because change needs to happen. And obviously it's going to have to start with us.
But how can we as people, I'll say more men, how can Black men fully support Black women?
Stop letting other people define a Black woman. Stop allowing people to bash us, and stop letting our own people bash us. We got to support each other. And I feel like for Black men, a lot of them come to our defense. We can't even say like all Black men do that. Like all Black men, talk, down about Black women. No, a lot of them come to our defense, because it's like, no, not all Black women are like that. They support us. And I think that there's no such thing as 100% support. Shoot, I'll take 95%. We need 95% of that support.
Why can't it be 100 though?
Because there'll always be those stragglers that'll toggle like in between. Like, I'll support, but I won't fully support. I've heard guys say that they have their quote unquote preferences, and I can't stand that. Like, I can't do it like Black women because they do blah blah blah. So you're a Black man, so your mom is like that, your sister's like that, your auntie's like that. How would you like it if some dude said that nonsense to them? I bet you would not be happy. And if they change their narrative, other people would change also. Like, it's all about the way you say things. Like, don't get me wrong, you can have a preference. Everyone has a preference, but keep it to yourself. Don't put down another group to lift up another. Like, what point does that make? Like, if you like someone of another race, that's your preference of women, go right on ahead. If you don't like women with natural hair, that's your personal preference. But don't sit there and make it seem like, oh, I don't like that because it makes them look like their hair is nappy or whatever it is that they're gonna say about that. Like, we gotta support each other.
So does that still fall into not understanding, not doing your homework, not really looking at the bigger picture? Because Black women are multifaceted. People are multifaceted. So just like how they might think Black women are one specific box, but there's different type of Black woman, it just doesn't sit well with me. Just like how white people look at Black people and how they are afraid of us because we're so powerful. but we don't even understand our power.
Exactly.
That's the sad part. That's why they're killing us. That's why they don't like us. That's why they don't want us in these seats, because they know how powerful we are. But because we're in these predicaments and because we're in the places that we live and we had the experiences that we had, we forgot, or we got amnesia to the fact of how powerful we really are, especially when we stick together.
Exactly.
But until us as people really understand how powerful our skin tone is, how powerful we are just walking into a room, then we'll understand the magnitude of graces and this beautifulness that we have.
Exactly.
That's,
Is that in itself is like, that power thing is amazing. And I feel like that also for us, we have to, I feel like, why sit there and want to get a seat at the table? Let's just make our own table, put our own seats there, and we just invite people from all over, and we just come together and we just sit down, because we don't need to try to sit there and hope that someone would sit there and slide over a little bit so that we can join that table. We make our own table, we make our own space.
with that, a lot of people unfortunately scared to do that because they feel like if that doesn't work, then they have nothing. So they'd rather have a little bit of something than nothing at all. But that's how you become successful. That's how you become a person. That's how you learn. That's how you live. That's how you grow as a person. By not being scared, by being unapologetically yourself, by standing up for what you need to stand up for. And if that means that you need to make your own table because this table is not for you, this table is not feeding you the food that you need to eat, then you shouldn't be scared to make your own table.
Exactly.
But the more people who are willing to make their own table, we have a lot of people out there making their own table and putting people on with our color.
Yep.
And that is amazing. Mm-hmm. We just need more people to continue to make their own tables and continue to just build the Black dollar. The Black dollar is so powerful, but if it's not going in the Black communities, it's nothing. And the more people who build the Black dollar and who builds their own tables, that's not saying that we don't want the white dollar. It's just saying that we're tired of the white dollar telling us how much we can have.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So let's end off with this, because we've been on here for 38 minutes. And
wow.
A much needed conversation, and hopefully a lot of people understand, they dealt with it, they have different experiences within the topics that we talked about. I just want to end off with this, something light, because this has been so heavy. So I don't know if you heard about the newest versus battle that's going to happen.
I don't know. No, I didn't.
It's with Brandy and Monica. It is finally happening.
Oh!
It's happening August 31st.
Alright, so I'm already Team Monica, so.
Well,
you know.
I guess I don't have to ask you that, huh? But why are you Team Monica? Then I'll tell you why I'm Team Monica, because, yeah.
I'm Team Monica. I just feel like her songs, they're just amazing. Like, I Want to Be Down. And You Should Have Known Better. Every time I listen to that song.
Brandy, boo-boo.
Oh, my bad. I'm still Team Monica. But I felt like I was like, wait, I think that's Brandy. That's all right. But I Should Have Known Better, I think, was one of my favorite ones. And I was just like, ooh, I love that. Every time I listen to it, I just like close my eyes. I'm just like, yep. Yeah, this is my song right here.
It puts you in like a trance. for me, I always go for the underdog. Well, not always, but in this particular case, like I like Brandy. She's a very great vocalist. However, I connected more with Monica. I connected more with her songs, her vocal ability, which I feel like is underrated. I don't feel like they give Monica's voice enough praises that they need to. Because in my opinion, she sounds better than Brandy. Yes, Brandy has all the runs and all whatever she can do. But in terms of like vocal ability, in terms of like vocals, I feel like Monica has it. And I feel like Monica has more hits. I feel like Monica just has more, like, gives you more of a variety of music. You have your slow song, you have your hip hop and rap / pop songs, just straight R&B. You just have different facets of Monica. But I'm so here for this battle. I'm happy that they finally realize that this is what they need to do. And we're about to get it.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna have to watch that one because, I mean, I wonder, are they gonna bring out all like a lot of like the 90s? Are they gonna bring some of like the ones that's like now? Like, how are they gonna do it?
They probably gonna start with the 90s and then go to current music.
Oh, I'm ready for that. I gotta watch that.
So as we end this, what last words do you want to give to Kimi's podcast listeners?
I want to say, let's just love and educate each other, because right now that's kind of like all we got going for us. Just love and educate each other, and everything else it's just gonna follow. You know, just that's basically it. Just love and just educate ourselves.
I couldn't have said it better myself. But thank you for joining. Thank you for actually wanting to come on and deep dive into some tough, hard-hitting topics that I know you was a little nervous about opening up with those topics. But thank you. I'm quite sure you're going to help a lot of people out there that have the same experiences.
Yes, and I do, and I hope that anyone who's listening, if you're going through the same experiences, it might get worse before it gets better, but it always gets better.
That's even not know. It always gets better. Thank y'all for listening to Kimi with DT's channel. Thank you. Hit me up on Facebook, Akeem Holder. And this was episode 59. Thank y'all. Laters.